My name is Grant Arrington. I'm a community ambassador for Trend Micro. I work in the Internet Safety for Kids and Families program, and we're just going to talk a little bit about some ways to stay safe online, some different tools. We'd love for really everyone to pay attention, and we're going to have an area later on where you can actually practice some tips on your phone to make sure that you're keeping your privacy safe. So I'm going to go ahead and kick things off. Please make sure you sign in the link that's posted, and also we have an option to listen into in Spanish. All right, so here is a list of some of the schools. I know we have people from different schools across the country, lots of elementary schools. We have some junior high, middle schools. Like I said, a lot of West Coast represented here tonight. So we got people from all across the country though. We even got New York, which is pretty crazy. We're coast to coast. It's really awesome to see people here. I myself am in Texas. I'm in the DFW area in Texas. So I think we have one other area in Texas here. So it's cool to see. And real quick, our program is the Internet Safety for Kids and Families program. It was founded 14 years ago. We are active all across the country and actually all across the world. We've reached over 3.2 million kids and parents just like yourselves. We're trying to help everyone here just learn a few things tonight. We want to keep it very educational and informative. And I'm also coming from Trend Micro. We are a very large cybersecurity company, and we would just love for everyone to get some good information out of this tonight. And before we begin, I would just like to remind everyone, you can listen in Spanish. Please sign in with the link that was posted in the chat. The session runs about 80 to 90 minutes, give or take. There's going to be some time for questions at the end. And also there's going to be a recording of the session. It's available on demand. Please submit questions in the Q&A in English or Spanish. And also we'd really appreciate if you complete the survey when you exit tonight's event. Please don't forget to do that. It gives us some good feedback, and we would love for that to be filled out as well. All right, and what we're going to start off here is we're actually going to launch a poll. So that you're going to see a poll in the chat that you can actually respond to. We want to know how old your oldest child is. So we have 4 options right here. We've got 5 or older, or no, 5 or younger, 6 to 10, 11 to 14, 15 or older. I'm not sure if I can vote, but I actually have a daughter. She's a year and a half, so I'm in A right here. But it looks like we have a good amount of around 6 to 14. We're really 6 to 15. It's pretty split, nice and even about. So it looks like we have elementary to middle school age primarily, the biggest chunk being 11 to 14, and then 15 and older. So we definitely have some high school age represented here. That's awesome to see. So really, this is going to be pretty relevant for all ages. So I appreciate everyone sharing that. And we're going to try to have some help for all age groups. And we're going to actually have another poll right here. So this is our second poll. We want to know what you're most interested in discussing. So this could be managing screen time for your kids, helping your kids stick to age-appropriate content, dealing with online bullying or hate, getting ideas for positive uses of the internet, or you're not sure, you're just here to listen. So it looks like a lot of sticking to age-appropriate content, which I can definitely understand. That's super important. Managing screen time as well. I mean, all of these are really important. Dealing with online bullying, positive uses is definitely big. And then if you're not sure, hopefully you'll get something useful out of this for sure. And I forgot to mention earlier, I was a classroom teacher. So before I actually started at Trend Micro, I was a teacher, and I taught for 4 years. And I saw how important it is to make sure that kids are using technology safely. I know a lot of parents had concerns about, online bullying. Definitely, unfortunately, can happen at schools. I know parents want to limit screen time. I know schools heavily use technology, so parents want to make sure that kids are not necessarily just glued to a computer all day at school. So I really see why all of these are really, really important, just from being a teacher in a classroom and for having a young daughter, I want to make sure that she's safe online. So hopefully we're able to help you out here. All right, so now we're going to talk about kind of our approach here at Trend Micro and our internet safety for kids and family. We're going to talk about our approach to digital citizenship. We're going to talk about how to help them be great digital citizens. We're not going to scare you because that's not particularly helpful. I'm going to just try and share as much of the truth and facts that I understand. Things that I've learned working at Trend Micro, things that I've learned being a parent, although my daughter is young, I've definitely learning a lot. And just times of being in the classroom as a teacher, I learned a lot. So we're just going to kind of cover what digital citizenship is. So really the core focus of digital citizenship is safety and security. It's being safe and having that understanding of kind of what can happen online. It also focuses on digital literacy. How do I use the features that are available? How do I use different settings and technology so you can avoid different risks that are out there? It also involves ethics and community. What are the rules or norms of behavior in online spaces? How should you behave so it's positive for others? How can you behave so that you can have a great community online? And then also mastery. It's more than just knowing what not to do. It's also knowing what to do, and then how you can also show that to whether it's your kids, family, friends, just showing those positive behaviors and spreading it out to others. And so tonight, what I'm going to cover is a wide range of issues. And what we've done here is we've actually organized them into 4 different sections. So you can see them up on the screen here. We're going to cover all of these sections through the webinar tonight. We'll spend most of the time in the blue and green areas, and we'll go through each at a high level. So we'll start in the blue and green. We'll spend a lot of time there. And then we're really just going to give a high level for all of them. And as we're going through this, if you think of questions, we'll hopefully be answering those, and also feel free to throw questions in the chat if anything comes up. And then in terms of these pillars, they do have subsets that we focus on. So being online, that's your environment, your rules, different examples. Being safe, this is securing your privacy, information, and securing yourself online. Being kind, be kind to others, be kind to yourself. And being savvy, use good habits, and using internet and technology safely. All right, so our first step is setting up the environment. And what this means is taking care of our health, our physical health. And what that starts with is your eyes. So a lot of us, I know in my current job right now, I spend a ton of time staring at a screen. And so what this means is we have a 30-30-30 rule. And the way this breaks down is if you're staring at a screen for 30 minutes or longer, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take a 30-second break. You can take a movement break, go get a cup of water, however you want to do that. Just get up for 30 seconds. And then this last 30 is try to look at something 30 feet away. And what this does is it takes you away from staring at a screen that's very close to you. It gets you up, it gets you moving, and it kind of helps your eyes to focus on something a little bit further. And it just kind of takes you away from that really close proximity screen that you're staring at. Also, blue light glasses are definitely something that I would recommend investing in. You can get a cheap pair on Amazon. I just would recommend that the blue light glasses can really kind of take away some of that harsh blue light. So that's a good thing to do. Also, focus on your posture. I know that myself, I really have a habit of slouching forward. So try to sit up straight and just take movement breaks. It's good to get up and move around, especially time can fly when you're staring at a screen. So we'll just recommend these are a few things for your physical health that can just help you out. Now, setting up the environment for your network. This means limiting access to your router. Change the password it came with. You definitely don't want to share your password as well. I know when you do get a router, it'll come with a password that they give you. Would highly recommend changing it, writing it down somewhere, but keep that safe just so you can remember it. don't share it, and always update. If you can update, I know there's a lot of automatic updates, but if you do have the ability to update yourself, please do so, because that actually patches that actually will patch your router for any security errors or any bugs. And then separate the network. You have an option to have a main network and a guest network. And so if you maybe have a lot of people using your Wi-Fi, you might want to take advantage of that guest network. If it's mainly your family, make sure everyone's on that main network. Also, something that can be very beneficial is a Wi-Fi extender. You can purchase these yourself, and what they actually do is they extend the Wi-Fi throughout your house. So I have a Wi-Fi, a main router in my laundry room actually, and when I'm sitting further away in my house, sometimes the signal's not as strong. So what I can do is you can get an extender, put it in your living room, put it in your bedroom, and it actually makes the Wi-Fi a little bit stronger in areas that are more remote and further away from those routers. And then stagger use time. So if you have, let's say, you know that you have an important meeting and you work from home and you really need to have your internet working for this, if you have others in the household, maybe ask them to power down their devices or do something else while you're in that. That way you're not, you don't have a bunch of people using the bandwidth, and it can cause some stress on your router and your bandwidth. So staggering use time when you're gonna be spending a lot of time doing something important, that can kind of help free up some bandwidth in your house. So that's also another step that you can do for your network. All right, now setting up the environment for your security. What this means is using security software on all devices. A lot of laptops and computers now have built-in antivirus. I know Windows laptops have built-in Windows Defender. Take use of that. Try to have it run and scan your computer on a regular basis. Turn on your firewall. If you have one, please turn that on and keep it on. Use strong passwords. This one is really important. That's really going to be the first line of defense for all of your accounts. So I would really recommend getting away from password1, password exclamation mark, things like that. Use secure passwords that you can remember, but you can also get password generators and have those saved. I know Apple and Android are pretty good about suggesting strong passwords and then storing those safely for you. So definitely take advantage of those. Another big option is multi-factor authentication. You might have seen MFA before. This one is really awesome because if your password is ever compromised, you have a second line of defense. I use multi-factor authentication myself personally. I would highly recommend. There's different apps you can download. A very popular one is called Duo. It's either Duo Mobile or just Duo. It's on the App Store, Google Play. I know there's a Microsoft Authenticator. There's a Google Authenticator. You can just search Authenticator in your App Store or Google Play. You'll find tons of them. They all work great, but I would highly recommend using one. And then you can also use a virtual private network, also known as a VPN. There are free VPNs that you can get access to. What it does is it encrypts your data. So whenever you're doing anything online, it actually masks your IP address and it encrypts all the data in transit. It's a great way to stay secure. So you really don't have to worry about anyone getting access to credit card information or anything like that. VPNs are really awesome, especially if you're using Wi-Fi, let's say at the airport or something, and you maybe don't trust the Wi-Fi at the airport. If you're using a VPN, it basically secures everything that you're doing while you're connected to the internet. So really a great option as well. All right, so setting up the environment just for every day. Please update devices. I can't stress enough how important it is to update your devices, whether it's just an overall operating system update, whether on your computer or phone, please update, because a lot of these updates are actually focused on bugs and security updates. Also for apps, I know in App Store and Google Play, you can have auto updates. Make sure you do those auto updates. They'll just go in the background. You don't have to think about it. But a lot of people don't realize that updates are generally for fixing bugs or fixing anything in that could be a security issue. And also, if you do have a question, feel free to comment here, and we'll make sure we get your question answered if you comment in the chat. We'd love to get any questions answered. So I just saw that. Also, here's a tip for making a strong password. This one is what they did was they made a sentence. So they said, might need to buy more toilet paper soon with an exclamation mark. And they took the first letter from each word and they created that. That's a really strong password. Most people are probably never going to guess that. So that's just an example of how you can make a strong password that you can also remember. Also, backup and store safely. I know that Apple does iCloud backups, so you can have a backup of all your information. I know Windows computers do backups, MacBooks through iCloud. I have an Android phone myself. I back it up with Samsung Cloud. Just please take advantage of those free cloud services that are offered. Back up and make sure you store everything safely. All right, now we're going to talk about some tech tools. So what tech tools do is they help with focusing on age-appropriate content, in-app purchases, the time you spend online, and then also monitoring what happens online. So these tech tools are available on routers, personal devices, your internet security provider, security software, app stores, and sites and apps. So what this means is tech tools will help you to filter content. They'll help you to limit in-app purchases. They're going to help you limit time spent. They're really going to, I don't know if this is the right word, but almost be like a guardian on your phone or on your device to kind of keep track of things and make your life a little bit easier. And we're going to kind of dive in a little bit deeper on those. Some of these tools might be family settings, parental controls, privacy settings, or even one of my favorite ones is digital wellness. So this is a little bit newer. I know that I actually use digital wellness on my phone. I try to track how much time I'm actually spending on my phone. And we're going to dive a little bit deeper into each one of these. So a big one that I'm a big fan of, I used to have an iPhone, but iOS screen time. So I use the Android version of this one. What this does is it actually kind of keeps track of what you're doing on your phone. This is all secure. It's just data for yourself. Downtime is really nice. You can actually schedule time away from your screen or your device. You can do this on an iPad or on an iPhone. App limits is really big. Let's say your kids love playing Roblox, but you only want them to play 30 minutes a night or an hour a day. You can actually set a limit. So when it hits that limit, the game time is up. You can use it for yourself too. Let's say you find yourself on Facebook just scrolling endlessly. You can actually set a limit and keep yourself a little bit in check. But yeah, you can see the controls up here. Would highly recommend go into your settings if you have an iPhone and check out screen time. You can do some really cool stuff there. And if you would like, you just go to settings, go to screen time, and then if you can't find it there, you can also use the search function and you can find screen time there. And what's really nice is actually under your family, if you see at the very bottom, you can actually see any member in your family. Even kids under 13 can be set up for this. So it's pretty cool that you can actually get a little bit greater control over what's going on. And if you look at that arrow, it shows where the family settings are. So screen time also gives you weekly reports. Those are really nice. It gives you downtime and app limits. You can set a schedule to see those as well. And then this one is really important, content and privacy restrictions. So what this is going to do is you can actually set restrictions for what is actually going to be accessed. You can customize content and privacy in the screen time settings. What you see here is you can restrict like explicit content in the iTunes and App Store. Maybe you want to restrict music so that you can only listen to certain music. You can make it so that in the App Store, you can only view apps that are available kind of like a rating system, like a PG rated app. So you can actually do some really cool things there. So I'd highly recommend if you have young kids looking into those restrictions and setting those up just to make sure they're accessing content that's appropriate for their age. And also there's something that's fairly new, at least the app is new. It used to only be an app, and now it's actually web-based as well. So this is Google Family Link. I know a lot of people have Google accounts. Just one second. I actually saw a question. Are there any alternatives to iOS screen time? My kids have managed to hack their way through it, and it's not possible to drill down in the content. I'm sure there are. That's a great question. So I know that there are different apps out there. I don't know necessarily, I don't know if I could recommend you one off the top of my head, but I know that there are ways to set up passwords within iOS screen time. I'm not the best with Apple. I do have an Android device, and I know there's ways to set passwords. Um, I'll try to get an answer for you. We'll try to get a better answer for you in the chat. But I know there are ways to set passwords, and I'm not sure if they're actually guessing those passwords potentially, but there should be a way to set one up so that it can actually to block them. And then, yeah, so I know that's not the best answer, but I hope that's a little bit helpful. We'll try to get an answer in here in the chat if there's any deeper settings that you can do on your iOS device. But you actually could use Google Family Link. Now that it's up here, this actually is an alternative, and it actually manages and secures your kid's account. So I know a lot of people have Google accounts. So if you do have a Google account for your child, what you can do is you can actually set restrictions here. So you might want to look into the Google Family Link because it does work on iOS devices, and you might have a little bit more control over what they're doing, and you might be able to have a little bit stronger control of that with this app. So would definitely look into it. You can filter apps, you can limit screen time, so you can actually track location too. I don't know, there's one called Life 365, I believe, but I'm not sure if that one blocks. I haven't looked into that one as much. And then we got another question: does screen time manage across iOS devices on the same account, like time limits across their iPad and iPhone? That is a great question. I believe that it is set up across accounts. So if you have your iPhone and your iPad synced to where the same account is synced, I know Apple has a really strong ecosystem. If you do a setting on your phone, and as long as your accounts are synced, it should translate to the iPad. So make sure that you have those accounts synced, though, that you're logged in on the same account on your iPad and your iPhone. All right, and here is a big one. So YouTube is something that I know kids love to go on. Adults love to go on YouTube. It's just a really fun site. So we're going to talk about the YouTube supervised account. Then I got another question: are there specific ways to limit screen time on school district provided Chromebooks? So I know that in the school district that I actually taught at most recently, they had Chromebooks that all the students were provided. I know that the district does really good with keeping those Chromebooks pretty secure. In terms of screen time, that's something I'll have to look into. I know that I know that teachers have access to limit depending on the school that they're in. But I'm not as familiar, honestly, with Chromebooks. We'll try to get some answers in there for the Chromebooks. I'm sure there's a way to do it. I know if you use Google Family Link, that will definitely sync with the Chromebook. So when in doubt, I would definitely look into that Google Family Link because it does work across all ecosystems, all devices. In terms of actual native settings in the Chromebook, I'm not entirely sure. I'm sure if you search screen time or something like that, there's a good chance that it will be in there. And then general guidelines for appropriate screen time for different ages. I would honestly just kind of give you that power as the parent to kind of choose what works best for your family. Let's say you want to make it so that they have 30 minutes a day, or if they have an awesome day at school, maybe you want to give them a reward and maybe bump it up a little bit. Maybe stick with that 30 to start and maybe do 30 minutes at a time, have them take a break, and they can always go back and maybe get another 30 minutes. That way they're kind of doing it in chunks and they're not just sitting for an extended period of time. But that's definitely kind of up to you. So whatever you see works best for your family. And this is something that you can kind of work out and see what works best. So you can try one thing, have a discussion with your kids, and kind of work together and see what works best for you guys. But these are great questions. I love everyone getting these in here. I'll try to answer them the best I can. I'm by no means the best expert on this, but I'll try to give you the best answers that I have. And we'll try to get some more detailed answers in the chat as well. But definitely keep the questions coming. All right, so there is a supervised account on YouTube. So it's an experience on YouTube that's actually managed by parents, and you can decide what your kids can watch. It comes with content settings for preteens and older. You can have limited features and digital well-being protections. So it's actually really cool because you can filter what your kids watch based on the level of appropriateness. Um, it's meant to target different age ranges, so look up what fits best for your kids. And it's actually really cool because you can, if you look on the left side, it says explore more, or most of YouTube. So it kind of gets a little bit more. So explore, you get a little bit; explore more, you get more access. And then most of YouTube, they get most of YouTube, but would highly recommend looking into doing a YouTube supervised account. So you would have to create a Google account, link it to your child's own Google account. So you'll have to have one yourself, one for your child, and then you look up YouTube supervised account, and you can kind of go from there. And another tech tool here is TikTok family pairing. So what you can do is you can actually limit the content and time spent on TikTok. So you're going to need to have TikTok on both your child's device and also one on your device. And then what you're going to do is you're going to limit the time and content that your kids can actually be on. So you have your screen time management. You can see how long they're actually on it. Do restricted mode to limit what they're accessing, and then want to turn your family pairing on right here. And that actually, oops, that pulls this up and it says who is using this TikTok account, your parent or a teen. And then it allows you to keep TikTok family friendly. So it's actually really cool. You can make sure your kids are viewing content that's only appropriate for them. Would highly recommend looking this up. I know TikTok is very popular right now, so definitely a way to make sure your kids are using it safely. And there's another tech tool for Instagram. This is called Instagram Family Center and Supervision. You can actually get some really good information. So it allows you to see how much time your kids are spending on Instagram. If you look here in the middle, it says a 33-minute daily average, and it actually breaks it down by how many minutes per day. So you can see the bar graph there. It actually gives you pretty detailed information. And if you click on each bar, it shows you how many minutes per day. And then you can actually see who they follow, who follows them, which is really nice. And then you can limit time. And there's actually a whole lot of stuff you can do on here. So maybe you see that your kid is maybe following someone who's not the best influence or role model. It can actually help spark conversations on maybe how to be safe while using social media. So if you see that, it's really great to kind of help spark those conversations and say, maybe that's someone we probably shouldn't be following. And then you could suggest maybe there's someone else out there that they could, who might be a better influence. But there's lots of really good information here if your kids have an Instagram account. And that is the Family Center and Supervision on Instagram. And here's another tech tool. So this one is for Snapchat. And what this is the Family Center on Snapchat. And it allows you to monitor more than you could before. So it actually gives you some monitoring. It allows you to, I apologize, it is a little bit small, but you can see your kids' friends. You can see who they've messaged, and then you can also report abuse. So it just gives you a little bit more details based on your kids and their Snapchat account. And that is called let me go back a second. That is called the Family Center. All right, now we're going to talk about Roblox. I know Roblox, when I was teaching, it seems like kids absolutely love Roblox. So I know this one could be prevalent or relevant to you. Okay, I've got a question here. What prevents a child from signing out of a supervised YouTube account and accessing what they want? That's a great question. I believe that you can put locks. That is a really good question. I don't know, kids are super smart. Kids are really good about finding ways out of things. I would like to think that that they have a way to lock that account in and that you have to use a password to sign out of the account. That's something that I'll personally have to look into myself. But I believe there are ways to lock so that they actually cannot sign out. But if that is something that is happening, that's definitely a way to spark a conversation, and you can tell your kids, like, I see what you're doing. If you're signing out, that can spark some conversations about maybe them taking a little bit more responsibility, and maybe if that happens, they might have to lose access briefly until they show that they can do it within that supervised account. So I'll look into it a little bit more, and if they can sign out. But that's a really great question. And so here for Roblox, what we can do here is, whoopsies, sorry about that. You can actually see who's the friends. You can get a little bit more detail on what they're doing within Roblox. So you can see what they've been playing, who their friends are, what their favorites are. So there are tech tools within Roblox. Discord is it's a messaging app. So Discord became more popular during the last few years, especially during the pandemic. And what you can do here is you can actually set up some, if you see here, it says it can automatically scan and delete direct messages that have inappropriate content. So I would highly recommend selecting the Keep Me Safe, the green one at the top. It scans direct messages from everyone. And this is actually really cool because if your kids are using Discord, and I know a lot of people that play video games typically will like to chat on Discord, it's actually really nice because it can just make sure that your kids are safe. So if they have friends, it can kind of help to make sure that they are being safe while messaging each other. And then also you can choose who adds your child as a friend. So you can have it open to anyone can add your child. You can have friends of friends or server members. So if they're in a server with someone, they can all be friends. Let's say there's a group of them all in 5th grade that they have a server together. Friends of friends is generally a recommended one because that kind of keeps it within a close group. So that's the one that we have checked off here as a little bit of a recommended option. And then right here, there's also the ability to block someone. So if you see someone is messaging your child and you do not trust this person, or you're unsure of who this person is, you can actually just block them right here. So if you go into your settings, you see at the top there's profile. If you go all the way down to the bottom, it's highlighted in blue. You can actually block that person. And then we got another question: how do you access Family Center on Snapchat? So that is a great question. I personally have actually not accessed the Family Center on Snapchat. My daughter does not have a phone, so she's not going to be using social media anytime soon. And I myself do not use Snapchat. I believe that it is within the app. Within the app, you go into the settings, and from there, I'm sure you can find it under privacy or security within your settings. We will try to get some steps in the chat of how to access that. When in doubt, if you Google Snapchat Family Center, it should have some instructions. I know we do have instructions for some location services, but we'll try to get you some instructions in the chat here. But great question. All right, and right here we have Xbox. So this is a popular gaming platform. I know I played Xbox when I was younger. A lot of kids play Xbox, and there are some family settings that you can do. And if you're unaware, Xbox is actually owned by Microsoft, so you can connect Microsoft accounts to Xbox accounts. They're all one and the same. And so what you can do with these family settings is you can filter apps. You can make sure that they are only accessing apps and games that are appropriate. If you only want them playing apps that are for everyone, I know there are some mature apps. You can filter those apps away if they're too young. You can limit screen time, and you can approve spending or friend requests. So I know that there's a lot of games that have in-app purchases, and in-app purchases could And we actually got the Family Center. Thank you so much, Kimberly, for putting that in the chat. So this link right here shows you the Snapchat Family Center if you click on it. I appreciate that, Kimberly. But what you can do is you can limit spending for in-app purchases, whether they're on Fortnite or Roblox or something else on Xbox. You can limit that, and you can actually choose who they can become friends with. So it's actually really cool. And then if you actually look at this picture, it shows Jordan wants more screen time. So let's say Jordan is your kid and he or she hit their allotted screen time, and they want more, they can actually request it. And maybe they're in another room and you see, oh, well, you know, they had a really good day today. Sure, why not? It's Friday night. You can actually add some more screen time there, or you can say not today. Depending on how you want to do things, it gives you a little bit control there right within the app. So that's pretty cool. All right, and this is actually brand new. So if you go to tmfamily.care, it takes you to the Trend Micro Family website. And there's some tools for digital parenting to protect your children on the internet. There's some categories you can see there: awareness, protection, and guidance. I would highly recommend, I know people internally did a lot of work on this. Definitely have to give a plug in for the Trend Micro Family team. There's a lot of useful free information on there, information for Android and iOS. This is all for your benefit, so would definitely recommend you check that out for some extra free information on how to keep your child safe online. And that's the link up at the top. It's tmfamily.care. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about setting the rules. So what setting the rules means is you're going to have your what, when, how long, where, and with whom. So when we think of, I'm going to scroll back a little bit. When we think about the what, you're going to think, what apps are your kids allowed to use? If your kid asks you to download a new app or download a new game, maybe stick to things that are highly reviewed, stick to things that you know you can trust. Use your gut, use your parental instinct there. Ask other parents if they're allowing their kids to use those apps. You know, when in doubt, lean on friends, neighbors, and family. But just stick to things that are trusted, things that you know. If maybe something doesn't seem right, stick to your gut. If it doesn't seem right, it's probably not right. So just be aware of the apps that they are using. And so when are they allowed to use apps or technology or devices? So kids are online a lot now. We're kind of living in a digital era. So kids are online during school. I know a lot of schools implement technology in elementary school. The school I actually worked in an elementary school, and I know that kindergartners were allowed to use iPads. So it starts at a very young age, and kids, I have a daughter who's 1.5 years and she knows how to use a tablet, and we didn't even have to show her. She just starts tapping on it, and kids just, they learn so quickly. So what I'm getting at is kids are online, they start at a very young age, and it's very important now more than ever to just be clear about when they can use tech for fun, when they can use it for learning, and maybe even something we call the 24-hour exercise, which I'll talk about. And that actually helps your kids think about other activities that are important and healthy for them, how screen time can fit into their day. So I know that what I like to do is I like to try to wind down, especially at nighttime. I try to not use my phone and technology as much when it starts to get dark, and especially after dinner, when it's getting later at night. I just try to kind of step away from technology a little bit and have a break, since I'm on it so much during the day. So just being aware of when is appropriate to use technology, and when is a time for learning and when is a time for using technology for fun. And then how long, this kind of, I already touched on it a little bit. It goes along with when. How long are you going to be online? I know a lot of people use technology for your job. A lot of people, kids use it during school. Just be aware how much time you're spending online. Where this is actually something that you might not always think about. So where it can be while they're using it. So a lot of us at home, the location, or I guess the setting you want to have inside your house is very important. So if maybe you're eating dinner, you want to kind of cut technology out for a little bit. Maybe you used I myself have a habit of having a TV running while eating, and so maybe sometimes you just want to shut the technology down a little bit. Maybe if you're going to be video chatting with a group of friends, and one of your kids is doing homework and the other one's video chatting really loud, just being cognizant and maybe having a space for a quiet area to do homework, and maybe a space to have maybe if you have an extra room, or if they go into their room, you can do that. So just kind of being aware of where you're using technology and what you're doing in different areas, if that makes sense. And then with whom. So this is who are using technology with. You can be reading articles online by yourself, you can be playing a game by yourself, or a lot of people are connecting online. The internet makes it really easy to connect with others. So if younger kids are maybe getting their first social media account, or maybe you have a kid that's really into online gaming, this is a great opportunity to connect with them and start to have those conversations about who you would like to see them connecting with. These are really good conversations to where you can really kind of set the ground rules, and instead of maybe just being the parent and giving all the rules, getting some feedback from your kids and kind of letting them be a part of that conversation, and showing that you value what they think. But there's tons of ways you can attack this as a family. It's really, at the end of the day, it's up to you. These are kind of guidelines. Everyone can kind of do it their own way. And then I did see a question: will you chat about computer security? I'm worried about my child downloading something like a virus or malware. Yes, we will talk about computer security. I briefly touched on it at the beginning. I would highly recommend, if you do have a native security device in your phone or computer, MacBooks are really good about being pretty secure by default. That being said, if you have a Mac computer, I would highly recommend downloading a free security. If you go and you can actually look up different security tools. Trend Micro, actually, we have an antivirus that we have that I'll touch on at the end. Microsoft has Windows Defender built into your computer. So if you have a PC, Microsoft has built-in antivirus. I would recommend doing at least weekly screens of your computer. There are different programs. I know there's one called Malwarebytes, which actually scans and removes malware on computers. There's tons of different antivirus. I mean, there's a lot of them. There's the big ones I think people know about. There's Norton and McAfee, and there's all sorts of different ones out there. So there's free antiviruses you can download. Trend Micro, we have an antivirus. There's native ones built in. So I know that there's a lot out there. It's kind of how you want to do it. So would recommend looking into some of those different solutions. You can search for some, or if you have a Windows computer, I know Windows Defender is great. So I'd highly recommend looking into that. All right, and so the 24-hour rule I mentioned a little bit earlier, this is something that you can fill up a 24-hour pie chart and write down a list with your kids. And what this does is it supports health. So you can track your sleep, your meals, and your outdoors and exercise time. So how much sleep are you going to get? I mean, your day starts really with how much sleep you get. I think that's super important. Your meals, make sure you schedule time to have time to really just sit down. You're not rushing through breakfast each morning, trying to get out the door. Set some time for exercise, whether you're just kicking a soccer ball around, maybe you're taking a walking the dog, doing whatever, do some push-ups here and there. Just staying moving is really what that's about. And spending time outdoors sometimes can be a little bit of a thing that kind of gets away from us all, I think. Just making sure that you spend some time outside, decompress a little bit. And then this also supports learning. So you want to make sure that you're focusing on school, make sure you're focusing on your homework, your reading and hobbies. Would highly recommend setting some time each day for homework. Even if you don't have homework, you can maybe set some time to study. I know kids have tests and quizzes that pop up all the time. So maybe you don't have any homework, but hey, maybe you can get a little ahead and get some extra studying for that test coming up the next week. Definitely would recommend setting time for reading. I myself really want to get more focused on reading each day. So maybe you want to spend some time in the morning as you're waking up, or if your mornings are super busy, maybe spend some time winding down each night. You yourself spending time reading, or what would be even better is if you have kids, spend some time reading with your kids. Families that read together, it's actually shown that students that read with their parents typically score higher and perform better in school. So would highly recommend reading with your kids. And also, if you have any hobbies, I myself am really busy, so I kind of let this slip a little bit. But hobby can even just be going for a walk each night. Maybe you want to just spend some time walking on trails, if you have any trails in your neighborhood or anything, or doing puzzles, just something that you're getting a little bit away from technology. And it supports your relationships. This kind of allows you to be more cognizant about spending time with your family, friends, or neighbors. I think that's something we all take for granted a little bit, is maybe we don't always spend that close one-on-one time with our families. So this kind of can allow you to be a little more cognizant of that. And then, whoopsies, wrong button. And then the time that you have left over, this is almost like a budget. The time you have left over, you do what you want with. It's kind of up to you, but this is just an idea. You can create a menu or activity box with options online or offline. So you can really do what you want with it. All right, and then this is about setting the example. So as the parent, you are really the example in your household. You're the lead of your household. So I would recommend that you have rules for yourself, and you want to be modeling these rules for your kids. What kind of example do you set? It really starts with you. Kids look up to their parents so much. So just try to be aware of that and set a positive example for your kids. Yeah, and I appreciate that, Jennifer in the chat. Thank you so much for sharing Common Sense Media. Highly recommend everyone go check that link out. There's some really good stuff there. Thank you so much. All right, now we're going to talk about being safe. So this is privacy, information, and self. Protecting your privacy, there are privacy settings in your devices. They're not always set to the best level for you and your kid. So maybe get involved with your kid and find out the settings that are going to work for you and them. All right, and this is a screenshot of Fortnite. So I know a lot of kids love Fortnite, and what this red arrow is going to show us is some privacy settings within Fortnite. So if you see the 3 lines, it's a hamburger menu is what I call it. So you click on that hamburger menu, circled right there in red, and it pulls up a menu. And so what you can see in here is your privacy. So this one is set to private. Private means that no one can reach them. And here we go right here. So the game privacy. So let's say your kids are playing Fortnite and you set up for public. That means anyone can access them. If you have little kids, especially, you probably want to put it on private. It's pretty self-explanatory. So public, anyone can access. Friends, only their friends can access, and then private, no one can access. So just a little tip: if your kids play Fortnite, you can go in there and mess with the settings. They can change it, but maybe if they're a little younger, they might not notice it. But it can also spark conversation with your kids and letting them know that just you want them to be safe. All right, so when we're talking about protecting privacy, there are a lot of limits to our privacy settings, and so just assume nothing is private. I know there's a lot of there's different legislation that's, I don't know, Europe passed something about keeping, it's the GDPR, I believe. There's different legislation about protecting privacy. I know California actually has a way to request, I know there's a lot of people here in California, you all probably know better than I do, but you can kind of limit what data is being collected, and you can request to have your data deleted. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, just assume nothing is private. So just be careful with what you do online. And then a question, how are friends determined in Fortnite? It's going to be similar to a friends list in other games, or even just a friends list on Facebook. So anyone can send anyone a friend request. So that's how friends are determined. So if someone sends, if you, let's say your kid's playing Fortnite and it's online with other people and someone can send them a friend request, they can choose to accept it or decline it. I hope that's a little bit helpful, but just think of like a Facebook friends list. People send invites back and forth. All right, now we're going to talk about protecting our information. Here's a few different tabs here, or a few different things here. So there's things called poisoned search results, free offers, high interest content, and fake social media posts. So fake search results, that if you search something, the internet's full of a bunch of stuff. So it might say like, oh, a famous person maybe died, or like when you're online, you just got to remember, not everything on the internet's true. I know people say that, but just remember, there's inaccurate information out there, so just be aware of it. Free offers, please stay away from free offers. A lot of the times these are scams, and it could lead to potential malware or viruses. I always kind of go off, if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. So my word of advice, just stay away from free offers. I know there are ad blockers. If you go on Google Chrome, I know Firefox and Microsoft Edge, Safari as well. Really, all the main internet browsers have ad blockers that are completely free. You can Google search ad blockers and you can find ways to download them. If you've used extensions before in your browser, I would highly recommend downloading ad blockers. It will make your web experience amazing. So it takes a lot of that clutter away. And then high interest content. So people are on Fortnite a lot, so you got to make sure that maybe there's going to be more fake information based on Fortnite, or there could be a lot of stuff focused, like a free offer could be tailored around Fortnite, maybe free V-Bucks or something. So just be aware of that. And then fake social media posts. Like I said before, there could be fake stuff about celebrities dying or something like that. That can be clickbait, to where they're trying to get you to access something, and they'll put something maybe a little crazy to see if they can catch people's attention, and it can send you down a rabbit hole of maybe malware. You never know. So just try to use your common sense. And just remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. All right, so we are going to have another poll, I believe, right here. And this is, do any of your kids have their own cell phone? So we have 3 options: yes, no, or thinking about it. If you want, you can also feel free to just type that in the chat here too. Oh, here we go. Here's the poll. So yes, no, or thinking about it. I know for sure my daughter does not have a phone. I've joked around with my wife that she'll never get a phone. So we'll see how long that goes. She's little now, so we don't have to worry about all that. But so it looks like we got about half saying no, about a third saying yes, and then a little less than yes thinking that they're thinking about it. So I mean, in today's age, it really is almost inevitable that everyone will get their own phone at some point. So for those that have it, just make sure that they're using their phones safely. For those that they don't have it, be thinking about when they do get their phone, how you want to keep them safe on it. And for those thinking about it, you're already thinking about it. So like I said, everyone's going to have a phone at some point. Just remember, technology can be used for good or bad. Just make sure that you're keeping an eye on them while they're using it. Do you cover settings for photos, as in turning off location and settings? Yes, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, Jennifer. We are going to cover that. So yes, we'll get to that in a little bit. Great question. All right, protecting yourself, a word about the camera. So everyone's got a phone, it's got a camera staring you right in the face. I'm speaking into a camera on my laptop right now. Just just remember that cameras are everywhere. Who's got a phone, they've got a camera in their pocket. Just remind your kids, whether they do have a phone or whether they don't, they're going to be near someone that has one. So just encourage them to use cameras in positive ways. Let them know that if they do send a picture, don't send something that you wouldn't want the whole world to see. With the internet, things spread like wildfire. So just be aware, if you post something on Facebook, anyone can screenshot that or download it. So just remember that when you're using your camera, to think, if you're taking this picture, would you be okay with anyone seeing it? So just make sure that you're sharing that with your kids. And remind them that they can always come to you if something ever happens that is upsetting to them. Just remember that you always want to be there for them. So definitely to be aware of that. So phones can be used for a lot of fun. It's awesome to take silly and funny videos. It's awesome to just take lots of fun photos. I take selfies with my daughter all the time. My wife and I are always videoing her. Just remember that, like I said before, technology can be used any way you want it. Just remember to tell your kids about all the fun ways you can use it, and be a good role model for them. Show them how to do those things. All right, now we're going to talk about protecting yourself, gaming with others. Gaming is a great way to practice different skills, teamwork, even reflexes, how to build relationships with others, how to work as a team. But if gaming gets in the way of healthy things such as sleeping, playing with friends outside, doing homework, just being aware, just kind of be aware and keep an eye on your kids as they're gaming. I used to love playing video games when I was younger, and I would look down and realize that 2 hours went by and I had no idea. So you just really want to be aware of how much time that they're spending online and on games. And if you've ever heard your kid, maybe you give them 5 more minutes on a game, and then that turns into another 5 more minutes, and then another 5 more minutes. Consider using games that have definitive end times. I know, for example, a game that has a definitive end time would maybe be a sports game, whether it's NBA or Madden football, FIFA, the soccer game. Rocket League is another silly sports game where you drive cars and hit a giant soccer ball with cars. Playing those games have a definitive end time, so you can say just one more game, and you know that gives them 5 to 15 minutes. Whereas Minecraft, they can get lost endlessly in a giant world, running around and chopping down trees and building big castles. So just kind of be aware of that. If they're playing a game like Minecraft, they could very easily get lost in that world. Whereas maybe if they're playing a game with a definitive end time, it can be a little bit easier to say, after this game, you're done. And I know Fortnite, it has pretty strong end times as well. So just a word of advice that you can kind of look into. All right, so now we're going to talk about being kind to others and being kind to yourself. And it starts with kindness. It is the right thing to do. Everyone knows that. It's treat others like you want to be treated. Be a kind person. We all know this as adults, but we definitely want to be modeling this for our kids. And it does reflect on you. And respect others' privacy, respect others' family rules and values. People are going to do things differently. So this is something that you really want to be modeling for your kids. Other families might have different rules. Other families might have different values. We all want to make sure that we're recognizing that and being respectful of other people's privacy, their rules, and their values. Some households might limit technology a little bit stricter than others. Some might be a little more liberal or lenient with their technology. Each family gets to do what they want. We want to make sure that we're respecting others, and we want to make sure our kids are respecting others. So that's something that we really just want to remind each other. I know as adults, a lot of the times these are things that we don't necessarily think of. It's kind of been more ingrained in us, but especially for kids, that's not as natural for them. Sometimes, I mean, they really have to be taught this to an extent as they're getting socialized, depending on how old your kids are. But just remember, if a family is maybe a little bit more strict on their privacy and maybe they don't want pictures of their kids taken or maybe pictures of their kids shared on social media, just kind of be aware of that and respect others' choices. Also, be kind to yourself too. This is something that I think a lot of people forget. I forget this. I think that um, we can be our own toughest humans. Like I can be my toughest critic. So I think sometimes we can be harder on ourselves. So just remember, you are not a sum of all of the likes and the thumbs ups and the retweets and the tags and the hearts you get. I think sometimes, unfortunately, people will look into this. I'm guilty of it. We don't want to look into just the reactions we're getting online. Just kind of remember to take a step back and just be kind to yourself. I think that's something that we can all deserve. Um, and it's really important to remind your kids as well, especially kids that are just getting their feet wet with social media. I know it can be really enticing to constantly refresh and you post something and you want to see how many likes you get, how many people are talking about it, how many comments you're getting. Just remind them that social media really, it's designed for fun, it's designed for connecting, and it's designed for it's really designed for positive experiences. So just reminding your kids um, to not get, and it's easier said than done, and that's why it's good to model it yourself, but just remind them to not get focused in those likes and all that. It's it's something that I think is super important for us. You are greater than those likes, you're greater than those hearts and retweets. All right, talking about nurture and kindness. This is being supportive, being prepared, and showing your kids what kindness looks like. Like I said before, kids look up to their parents, so we really want to be supportive. Really want to be supportive to our kids. And you can be prepared by asking yourself two questions. What would we do if our child was ever bullied online? And what would we do if our child was being the one being unkind to someone else? Obviously, a situation no one ever wants to be in, but if you're already thinking about those questions, um, it doesn't hurt to just have those in mind. Obviously, we hope that this never happens to anyone, but it's something good to think about. Um, it's it can kind of help spark conversations within your household too, because let's say your kid maybe notices that someone's being treated unfairly. If you've already kind of had those conversations, they'll be able to respond in a better way. All right, so now we are moving on to being savvy. I appreciate everyone sticking with us for this long. We are going to talk about good habits and good uses, and we're going to be uh, wrapping this up in a little bit. So these days, it's really hard to tell what you can or can't trust online. So someone can take a photo from anywhere and then someone else can copy it and post it and claim it as their own. So on the left here, you see we got our original Joe. Original Joe posted, um, he posted some pictures of palm trees, and this is his picture. And then over here, we got the copycat. He just screenshotted it and goes, "Oh, isn't this awesome? Look at this beautiful palm trees that I saw." We don't really have those in Texas, but I'm sure everyone in California, you have some beautiful palm trees out there. So just be aware. There's a lot of false things out there. There's a lot of people that just like to mess around and copy photos or just do whatever. Just kind of be aware of all that. And then also on this last part right here, I skipped ahead for a second, but in the news, obviously, um, there might be something on that you don't know if it's completely based in fact or a hoax. You can, I would like to always try and double check something. So maybe you see something on one website, maybe try to cross reference it, see if you're seeing it anywhere else. If it's only on that one site and it's nowhere else, it might not hold up as well as if you see it across 5 different sites. Just something you can always do is cross reference. All right, now we want to talk about pausing and asking questions before you act. So whenever you're sharing something online, you can read through all these questions, or you can kind of just think them in your head. So why was something made? Who made it? What is missing? How might people, different people interpret it? How do I know this is true? Who might benefit from this message? Who might be harmed by this message? This is something that you can actually go through yourself, and your kids can learn to ask whenever they see something online that causes them to have a strong reaction. This is actually this was in a guide that was developed at the National Association for Media Literacy, which is on our website, actually. All right, now another habit. Have you ever looked yourself up on the internet? What did you find? And have you ever asked your kids if you've done this? So we all have a digital thumbprint or footprint or whatever you want to call it. And when we're encouraging good habits, you just want to know that maybe if you want some more privacy, maybe on social media, you can, I believe you can select if you appear in search results on Google, for example. I know on LinkedIn, you can appear if you want to be able to be searched on Google. With other social medias, I think they have a little bit more options there as well. So just being aware of that. Anything and everything you post, assume it can be seen by anyone. So just make sure that your kids understand as they're online, what they post can actually be accessed by lots of people. So just something to be aware of. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to actually show you how to do it, and I'm going to play a short video from you. And as this video plays, it can actually show you if show you what you know about yourself. Oops. Here we go. Oopsie, sorry about that, guys. Here we go. So what they're going to do is this example, they're going to go google.com and do /alerts. And so if you go to, let me pause it for a second. So on google.com, if you go to alerts, what you can do is you can create an alert. So this alert is creating an alert for Trend Micro. So anytime, and I know it's kind of hard for me to see on my screen here. So anytime something new gets posted about Trend Micro, you can actually have an email be sent to you. So maybe you want to put your own name in there. And if something related to your name actually gets posted online, it's actually kind of cool because you can figure out and get alerts to if maybe someone's posting different things and your name is in there. You can kind of see what's getting posted. And that's google.com/alerts. You can play around with it, and you can kind of get more information about yourself and what's being posted related to you or whatever you want, really. All right, and while we're talking about encouraging good habits and being safe online, these numbers right here have been published by Kaplan Institute's annual study. And what Kaplan does is each year they survey college admissions officers about a lot of different topics. But right here, these numbers are related to one of the questions they ask. In this question that they're asking college admissions officers is, would you ever look up an applicant online? So 66% said yes this year. And this was taken in 2022. So that was actually almost a year ago. And that's higher than all previous years since 2014. So lots of college admissions officers are actually looking up applicants online. 57%, that middle number of those who did, they found something that hurt the student's chances of being admitted. That could be something on Facebook or just something that they saw that they weren't super happy about. But on the bright side, 38% found something that made their application stronger. So I really like to end on the positive here. There's a whole lot of options to be using the internet for good, and maybe there's different programs or activities or different things that students are doing, and they saw that and they liked it. This is, if your kids are in high school, this is something that you can actually bring up and talk to them about posting positive things online and using the internet for good and having that good digital footprint, I'll call it. It's really good to have that positive image of yourself online. So maybe you can use that as a way to talk to your kids. And this, remember, this is the Kaplan's survey done about college admissions officers. All right, so encourage your kids to use the internet in a good and useful way. So you can learn new skills, go on YouTube, learn how to play the piano. I've tried to do that. It's kind of hard, but go for it. Promote a cause. If you're really passionate about something, I'm passionate about internet safety. I'm passionate about supporting students and kids. Promote a cause that you think is important to yourself. You can raise funds. There's GoFundMe's. There's all sorts of different things out there. People do really awesome things online. You can showcase accomplishments. Maybe you have a kid who's an awesome star athlete, or they do some really awesome things. You can showcase those accomplishments. Post how proud you are of different things they've done. You can enter contests. I know that ISKF, the program here at Trend Micro, we have contests that we've run. So there's all sorts of awesome things that you can do online. All right, so we are getting close to wrapping it up here. We believe helping kids to be great digital citizens takes work for sure. It takes work as our part, takes work on our part as a parent, but just try to think of it as more holistic than just keeping them safe. We don't want to scare anyone. We don't want people to think that the internet's a terrible place that they should just run away from and lock their phones up in a drawer. We just really want to be promoting how to be positive, how to be safe, be kind, and be savvy while you are online. All right, and we want you to know that we have created a kids cyber academy with short videos and Kahoot quizzes. I know when I was teaching, kids went crazy for Kahoot quizzes. So this could be a really fun way to get your kids engaged. We're working on actually presenting these to different schools through our program at Trend Micro. But we highly recommend that you go to the trendmicro.com/internet safety, and you can view our cyber academy. You can get through these pretty quickly. If you really dive deep into it, you can spend, I don't know, you can really spend up to 30 minutes if you really want to have some deep conversations with your kids, but you can run through it pretty quickly, and maybe even spend like 15 minutes if you want. Great question, Michelle. Yes, these are all free. So if you go to trendmicro.com/internet safety, we have a lot of ones that are out. We have some new ones that are coming out. They cover passwords, privacy, security, healthy habits, camera safety, kindness. You can just go through all of them, go through ones that you think are fun. And it's actually pretty cool because we've built it out for you. So you don't have to really know much yourself. Maybe if technology doesn't necessarily come naturally to you, we've built it out in a nice way that it starts with an animated video. It has an activity sheet, a conversation guide, so we can prompt with questions. We give you a discussion guide where you can, maybe if you're stuck and you don't necessarily know what to say about it, we can kind of help those conversations, and then they will start to flow between you and your kids. And you wrap it up with the Kahoot quiz. So lots of fun. And you can have a contest with your kids and see who paid attention better, and maybe have a reward for the Kahoot quiz. But it's a lot of fun. So highly recommend checking that out. And here are some more resources for you as parents. This is Trend Micro's site. Like I said before, we work with schools, so we do have it for parents and teachers. So different resources that you can access. Would highly recommend just going to the trendmicro.com/internet safety. Check it out. It's all free. So go in there. If you like it, great. If you don't, please give us feedback if you can. So we would just love to have you guys go check it out. All right. And now we want to talk about keeping it going before we wrap things up. So We want you to stay active. We want you to communicate. We want you to stay up to date. Just remember, things are always changing. Try to stay up to date. And we also want you to do one new thing before you go here tonight. So that one new thing I'm going to get to in a second. Before, I do want to actually mention that this week is actually kind of special for us at the Internet Safety for Kids and Families Committee, because it is Data Privacy Week. That actually started this Monday, and it goes this whole week. And what we want to know, well, what we want to talk about a little bit is our personal data and why it is so important to be safe, because our data is collected every time we go on an app or go online. And we want to raise awareness about the importance of protecting privacy or personally identifiable information online. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. What this looks like is making informed decisions, adjusting privacy settings to your own comfort level, and then taking time to learn how to identify common threats. And we do have a little action piece right here. What I would love you to do, I know a lot of people have iPhones. iPhones are very, very popular. I have an Android myself. We're going to post links of how to do this on Android, but just for the sake of time, we're going to cover iPhones right here. So we got a nice picture. What we're going to do here is, if you have an iPhone, please pull it out, go to your settings. It's the little gear wheel. Once you go into settings, go to privacy and security. And then within the privacy and security, go to your location services. So settings, privacy and security, and then location services. Make sure that your location services are on. That is important if you want to use your maps and other apps that use your location. But what you can do is you can scroll down to each individual app, and you can choose how much access it has to your location. For example, if you are on maybe playing a game, or maybe you have Candy Crush. Does Candy Crush need to know where you're located? Probably not. Does your maps need to know where you're located? Absolutely. Your maps needs to know where you are. So it's actually kind of cool because you can choose what access it has. So whoopsies. Got a little ahead of myself there. So you can say always, so it always has access to your location. You can use while you're using the app. You can do it allows access to your location once, or don't allow. So you can kind of choose what you want, but would definitely recommend to maybe turn off your location for this. A lot of the apps don't really need it. So that's something that you could do. Highly recommend you doing it. And we're also going in the chat here. Kimberly just posted managing your location on an iPhone. It gives a little more details, and then managing your location on Android. And they're very similar. Android uses your Google location services. So if you have an Android, please click that link, and I would highly recommend you follow through those steps as well. All right. And we are really, really wrapping it up. So we just had a couple more slides here. So don't go yet. But what we would love is for your feedback. There's a link up at the top. I'm going to leave this up for a second. Would really appreciate, we have a lot of people who work super hard in this program. Kimberly is, she's been working the chat. She does so much work here. So we would love if you could give us some feedback. It's at trendmicro.com/internet safety /PTO today feedback. It's a quick form. We would love for your feedback. I believe we're going to be posting a link in our chat to quickly get to the site so that you can do some feedback. It's super quick, takes a couple of seconds. So we'd really appreciate the feedback. It really helps us a lot. We want to make this as beneficial to as many families as possible. So if you think it was helpful, we'd love to hear so. If you think it wasn't helpful, we would love to hear so we can to make those changes. So once again, please leave us some feedback. It really helps us a lot. All right. And if you include your email address in your feedback or in the sign-in sheet that was posted earlier on, you will automatically be entered to win one of 5 copies of Trend Micro Maximum Security. And this is a super strong security for your devices. We are a large leader in cybersecurity. So this is a great opportunity to put your name in for a free 1-year subscription. It covers up to 5 devices, including your phones, for up to 1 year. So a little bit of a bonus for filling that feedback. Please make sure you include your email, and you will automatically be entered to win that. I just want to thank everyone for coming. It was really great getting to talk to everyone. I really appreciate it. Again, my name is Grant. I just hope that everyone was able to get something beneficial out of this. We do have a recording that is can be accessed on demand. We're going to try to be getting this link for the feedback in the chat here, and would just highly recommend you fill that out and make sure you mess with those location services. But again, my name is Grant. I really appreciate everyone's time tonight. It means a lot to me that you all came and listened. Hope everyone stays safe. Hope you all have a lot of fun, and just thank you again. I really appreciate it, everyone.